An AEW star has requested their release from the company. We're going to talk about that plus so much more right here on the Ango Show. Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget we got a giveaway at 100,000 subscribers. If you're interested, go ahead and click subscribe today for more information. It's going to be a fun live stream. The day that we hit 100K, trust me, it's going to be a very exciting day. And that rhymed. But hey, anyways, guys, WWE's making some changes, and it starts with Triple H. I thought this was very interesting. Corey Graves talking about this on the Short and to the Point podcast. He reveals that he has a lot of... Actually, to be honest with you, he revealed a lot of interesting thoughts surrounding Triple H. But more importantly, he was kind of talking about how Triple H does give a little bit more leeway to the commentators. And this is a very interesting topic to me for a variety of reasons, because I think sometimes people would criticize AEW, right? And more specifically, maybe when you would watch like AEW Dark or Rampage or something like that, you would see that the commentators are a little bit more playful. Then, obviously, when the Triple H era began, you see Pat McAfee, Michael Cole, Wade Barrett, Booker T, Vic Joseph, like all these guys spread out from Raw, SmackDown, NXT. They're also being more playful. There's a lot less restrictions on what they're saying. For crying out loud, Michael Cole congratulated Sting for retiring, and Pat McAfee was praising an AEW match live on TV, right? That's pretty insane. That's pretty insane. And I think it's okay for them to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think when commentators are having fun, it actually makes the show a lot more fun. Another good example of this is Michael Cole and the Antlers, right? With Valhalla. It's so stupid and silly and dumb, but at the end of the day, I think it radiates that they're having fun at the commentary booth. And I think that's just a really good thing for pro wrestling. I think, you know, storytelling is one job. It's one job of the commentators, right? To tell the story of what's happening in the ring, but also making the event seem a lot more fun. You know, it's one of those things I appreciate. And I think Excalibur and Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone, I think those guys are great, right? And I think WWE has some great commentators, and I think Corey Graves is great. But if you put them in a box and say, hey, just talk about this, and wrestling move after wrestling move, and, you know, I think that gets boring. So I'm really glad to see that AEW and WWE both have the approach where commentators could just have a little bit more fun, a little bit less scripted, less forced lines, things like that. Obviously, you know, for me as a viewer, I think you'll notice this more if you actually go to a show, by the way. But if you go to a show and you can't hear commentary, it kind of feels empty, right? But then when you're watching on TV, commentary is like the soundtrack to it. So got to keep that in mind. Ladies and gentlemen, staying on track with WWE. WWE has announced another Hall of Fame announcement. And this one is exciting just because I've always kind of wondered, why the hell isn't Bull Nakano in the Hall of Fame? It was first reported by ESPN this morning that Nakano is considered to be one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, greatest women's wrestlers of all time. And they spoke a little bit about her history and whatnot, and the fact that WWE is inducting her into the WWE Hall of Fame this year. And it's an interesting but awesome choice, right? I think I saw a really good tweet, actually, when Bull Nakano was, you know, just wrestling in general, full-time in the industry. That was an era where women's wrestling wasn't that big, right? It just wasn't. I mean, that's the way it is. It just wasn't that big. You got to keep in mind that I'm one of those guys who have always believed that some wrestlers are just in the wrong era. You know, if you take prime Bull Nakano and put her with, you know, all of the women that we see today across the board, I mean, we would be seeing some incredible stuff, right? She's a fantastic talent. She's somebody that should have been in the Hall of Fame, right? She should have been. Why she wasn't, I don't know. This is the question that I keep asking myself when it comes to WWE's Hall of Fame. Like, why aren't certain people in the Hall of Fame? And then what's actually really interesting is that there is a lot of people who already thought she was in the Hall of Fame, which obviously that wasn't clear. But I'm curious to know how WWE's process is, right? Vince McMahon's not there. How is Triple H deciding this? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. I think that's a really important question, is how is Triple H coming to terms with who should be inducted into the Hall of Fame. Are these people some of Triple H's favorites? You know, whatever it may be. I don't know. But I think there's just a lot of people who haven't been inducted that should be inducted. And I hope that Triple H and WWE do right by that. Of course, the Hall of Fame is, you know, wrestling is scripted and wrestling is predetermined and this and that. But I think the Hall of Fame, you know, I think you should still, whether you want to consider it a real Hall of Fame or not, I think it's a good thing when you see talent getting the praise they deserve. That's how I look at it. So, yeah, Bull Nakano being in the Hall of Fame just makes a lot of sense. Bull Nakano, Paul Heyman, 2 names inducted into the Hall of Fame this year. How many more? I'm guessing maybe 3 more. We'll be very interested to see how they go about it and whether or not they continue the Warrior Award recipient. I'll keep you guys updated, but let me know your guys' predictions as well in the comment section. Who do you guys think will be inducted into the Hall of Fame this year? I'm very curious to see what you guys think. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, our final topic, Jack Perry reportedly requested his release from AEW. I think this guy is being in character. I think he's being in character, but we had to talk about it. Jack Perry, obviously competing for New Japan Pro Wrestling these days. He dropped his first promo. You know, he's got this new gimmick. He's the scapegoat. He just joined House of Torture. I'm not sure if this is good or bad. Personally speaking, I do not care for Jack Perry's promo. I thought the promo was pretty not that good in my opinion, but that's just my opinion. I'm curious to see where this goes. I'm going to wait and see. I'm going to let it play out, of course. But basically what you need to know from this promo, obviously I can't show you guys because New Japan Pro Wrestling will copy strike my ass. And, you know, that just ain't cool. But basically he was talking about how he was only supposed to be gone for 1 month. It took him 6 months. AEW fears him. You know, he wanted out. He requested out and they won't let him out. And to me, this seems very much in line with character, but also at the same time, too, you never know with this kind of situation. Like, is he in New Japan Pro Wrestling because there's a bigger story here? I don't know. I really don't know. I think so. That's my belief is that's what I think is that this is going to lead to a big story, especially when Forbidden Door 3 happens this year. But at the same time, too, I think Jack Perry, and I've said this before, his heel turn, the gimmick stuff, I think everything that Jack Perry did after being with Luchasaurus, I feel like it just hasn't been great. The booking hasn't been good. I don't think the performance has been that good. And that seems to be a very controversial opinion, but I was there. I saw Jurassic Express become a very big babyface group, and for whatever reason, they didn't keep that going. And I feel like that's a big letdown as well. People could talk about Marco Stunt being small or whatever, but that was a fun group. And at the end of the day, that's where Jack Perry was best, in my opinion. This new character doesn't do much for me, but at the same time, too, if this is, in fact, character work, you know, I guess it's a good thing that he's blurring the lines, right? As far as requesting his release, I think if he did request his release, I could see why AEW would not approve that, obviously. But again, I just think this is all storyline stuff, and we'll see how it all comes out, but we got to let it play out. Right now, I'm just not a big fan of this. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this is The Ango Show.